What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews, exclusively here as always on the Casa D18 Studios channel. I, of course, am your host, the Renegade JJ Williams, and today it's New Release Saturday here on Renegades Reviews, and we're going to take a look at the Netflix original film Spiderhead, starring Chris Hemsworth, Miles Teller, Jurnee Smollett, Tess Halbrook, Mark Paguio, and Nathan Jones. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me here once again for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews. And as I said during the introduction, today it's Saturday, new release Saturday. Going to be taking a look at the Netflix original film Spiderhead. Now, for the record, Spiderhead is a state of the art penitentiary which is experimenting with the effects of research chemicals. And as our movie opens, the test subjects, who are technically prisoners of the state, are volunteers for the project, aiming to reduce their sentence time. Now, the program is overseen by the sympathetic and hospitable Steve Abnesti, along with his assistant, Mark Verlaine. The prisoners have their own rooms, do chores, and are free to roam the premises without guard supervision. However, the subjects do go through daily test runs of various drugs, all of which alter their emotions as well as their perceptions of their surroundings. One of the inmates is a guy named Jeff, and he is still reeling from having killed his friend while drunk driving. So Jeff is given N40, a love drug, which distorts his senses and drives him to have sex with two of his fellow female inmates. When Steve asks Jeff to choose which one of them to give Darkenflox to, which is a drug that induces intense physical and psychological pain, Jeff declines to choose, claiming that he feels nothing in particular for either one of them after the effects of the N40 have worn off. The next day, Steve tells Jeff that the higher ups have now chosen for him and that the younger of the two women, Heather, must now be injected with a dose of Darkenflox, and it'll only last for 5 minutes. Jeff reluctantly agrees, and to his horror, Heather commits suicide while on the Darkenflox after she damages her MobiPack, which is the device that administers the drugs to the patients. As Steve rushes out of the room, he accidentally drops his keys. Jeff unlocks Steve's desk and discovers that there are no higher ups. The prison is being ran by Abnesti Pharmaceuticals, and all the drugs were named from a bingo card. Steve and Jeff go get high together off of a laughing drug, as Steve also has a Moby Pack installed on himself. Steve then tells Jeff that his father abandoned him as a child. Jeff then confesses to Lizzie, another inmate that he's very close to, that he not only killed his friend in the car accident, but also his girlfriend. As a result, Lizzie hugs him and they share a kiss. Steve notices Jeff's feelings for Lizzie, while Mark begins to become doubtful of Steve's motives as he breaks down when Jeff confronts him. When Steve asks Jeff to administer Darkenflox to Lizzie, Jeff takes control of Steve's MobiPack and forces him to admit that the true goal of the program is to test a compliance drug called B6. All the other drugs are merely side projects being used in order to put B6 to the ultimate test, which is whether or not they would harm their loved ones when commanded to. The entire time, that the inmates have been consenting to the various tests, they had really been under the influence of the obedience drug. Jeff then forces Steve to open the door of the main entrance in order to free Lizzie, and then tries to order him to hand over his pocket knife. Steve resists and instead takes Jeff's phone and enables all 4 vials of Darkenflox in Lizzie's Moby Pack. The two fight for control, and Jeff is able to disarm Steve, damaging his Moby Pack in the process. Jeff rushes to save Lizzie, successfully removes the vials of Darkenflox, and the two then profess their feelings for each other. But Steve gets up and he orders the other inmates to apprehend Jeff and Lizzie. They're able to escape from Spiderhead after overpowering some of the other inmates and locking the main door behind them. Mark and the police approach the island just as Steve escapes on his float plane. But he joyously crashes into a mountain as he is now high off of his damaged Moby Pack. Meanwhile, Jeff and Lizzie take the remaining motorboat and escape. As our movie concludes, Jeff says in a voiceover that self forgiveness has to be worked on and chosen rather than being easily curable. This was an interesting one for me because, in the process of trying to come up with movies for New Release Saturday, I had noticed this one in a website that I go to. It shows me all the movies that are coming out on what days. And the cast listing alone intrigued me. Chris Hemsworth, obviously Thor. Miles Teller, I had just seen in Top Gun Maverick as Goose's son, Rooster. I thought he was good in that. I was willing to give him another shot. He impressed me. Jurnee Smollett, though, is the one that really piqued my interest because, in addition to being Black Canary in the DCEU, I remember her as Little Denise from Full House, one of Michelle's best friends. Teddy and Denise, man, those two and Michelle kind of went hand in hand. And seeing the young woman that she has grown into, the fact that she's still acting, how she's improved and honed her craft since the Full House days, it's just one of those things that you look to and it's like, man, this child actor didn't mess up. And I was really curious to see how she'd play into this film, and as the love interest for Jeff, essentially, I think she did a really good part. There's one scene in particular where she tells the viewing audience why she's locked up in Spiderhead in the first place. Really intense, really emotional. I thought that scene was very well done. The only problem I have with this movie, honestly, is Chris Hemsworth. For whatever reason, I just don't get sucked into his movies if he's not portraying Thor. I've seen quite a few different movies that he's in, and there's just something about him and his performance and the roles he chooses that I just don't think really click properly when he's not portraying the God of Thunder. I don't know if it's maybe because that was my first introduction to him, so I always come back to that when I see him and stuff. Whereas guys like Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Scarlett Johansson, Samuel L. Jackson, etc., I had seen in countless other things prior to those roles. Maybe that's it, but that that's really the only beef that I have with this movie. I thought that this was a really well done, intense story about what lengths prisoners will go to reduce their sentences to try to get back on the outside quicker. especially if they don't have the most violent of crimes. I mean, a DUI, you know, having a car accident while driving under the influence and killing somebody is fairly severe, don't get me wrong, but it's not like, first degree murder. It's not like rape or some of the other stuff that people get locked up for. 9 times out of 10, if someone has a car accident while driving, it was an accident. Yes, they could have chosen not to get behind the wheel while under the influence, but it's not like they set out to kill whoever's in the car with them. Unlike people that, you know, shoot up post offices or banks or schools, more often than not, that stuff is premeditated. They have put time and effort into planning this out. So, I, in the confines of the film, I don't feel it's as severe. But don't get me wrong, I definitely don't condone drinking and driving. I don't think anybody should drink and drive. Killing somebody in an accident is definitely what can happen as a result of it, but I digress. I did think the story was well told. I enjoyed it. I'm curious to see where these actors will go next in their careers because there's definitely no room for a sequel in this film. Thank God. But Miles Teller has now had two hot movies in the span of 2 months. Where's he going to go from here? Jurnee Smollett has got Black Canary. She's going to be in the new Batman movie. She's got her own movie. Curious to see where she's going to go from here. What else she's going to get into. And then, of course, Chris Hemsworth. You've got Thor Love and Thunder coming out. Where's he going to go from here? After that, is he going to be able to develop a career outside of Thor where people don't automatically compare everything he does to Thor? I think that may be why he's hung around the MCU for so long, because if you look at a lot of the movies that have come out for him since picking up Mjolnir, most of them bomb if he's not Thor. So we'll see what happens for him. I did think he did a decent enough job, but I just don't think he had the sinister factor enough, and he wasn't charming enough. He tried to play middle of the road, being the sinister man who's out this to further his pharmaceuticals while still being buddy buddy to Jeff, and I don't think he walked the line well enough. What do you guys think though? Let me know. When it comes to my rating of this film, I'm gonna give it for effort. I'm gonna give it 3 out of 5 stars. I did enjoy, like I said, pretty much everything about it except Chris Hemsworth's role. So I'm gonna put it 3 out of 5 stars. Those of you that have seen Spiderhead, what do you think? Let me know if you're watching the premiere. Leave your thoughts and comments over here. If you're watching on demand later in the day, leave your thoughts and comments down here. If you haven't seen it yet at all, it is on Netflix. It is a Netflix original movie. I recommend you give it a look, check it out. Doesn't cost you anything other than your Netflix subscription. You're already paying for it. Give it a watch. See what you think. Make sure you guys tune in tomorrow right here to the Casa D18 Studios channel as we will once again step into the war zone. That's right, it's time for another edition of the weekly acquisition report as I take a look at and show off some of the newest DVDs that I have purchased from Goodwills here in the last few weeks. The ever growing additions to my movie library. You're not going to want to miss out on that right back here on the Casa D18 Studios channel when I step into the war zone. All my fans and family and friends out there who tuned in today and joined me, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure that notification bell is turned on. That way you're alerted to all my videos when they go up. Make sure you share my video with your family, your friends, other movie lovers, other fans of Chris Hemsworth, other fans of Miles Teller. Do you know people that enjoyed Top Gun Maverick? Share this with them. Maybe they'll give it a view. Maybe they'll go and watch Spiderhead as a result because of Miles Teller. You never know. Either way, get this video out there to the people you think would enjoy it so I can help boost up my visibility in the YouTube algorithms, end up making some money on this endeavor, getting monetized by the end of the year. Once again, to all my fans out there, thank you for joining me and tuning in today, and I will see you guys next time.